to look my best for my audience. Kia ora everyone, you're here with me, Dave, on the Empire, and it is time for a technology review. Well, this unmissable object before me is none other than Microsoft's next generation console, the Series X. We've had it in our possession for a week or so now, and during that time I have been putting in a few hours on a few of their next generation titles, and I am here today to deliver you my opinion of it. Full disclosure, of course, Microsoft have provided us this console pre-release for the purposes of review. We have not been paid, and this is not a sponsored piece of content. Any thoughts and opinions that I have on this are my own. Now, without further ado, let's power on this console and talk about it. So, the Xbox Series X. Now that was an instant on, which is a little bit unfair. What I'm going to do is, in just a minute, I'm going to turn that off and boot it up from cold just to show you how it's going here. But this thing is fast and quiet, and the games play really smoothly, and there's a lot of good stuff that I simply could spend hours talking about, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to turn this back off, and I'm going to pull the power cable out of the back so that you can see what this is like when it boots from cold. I'm just waiting for that light to go off. Okie doke, that's probably about it. Alright, so look, I've taken the power cable out of the back, and I'm just going to pop that back in now. And so this is a cold boot, so no power currently, no signal. Here we go, from nada. Now, I'm also going to cut to a little video of me showing you a cold boot between the Series X console and the One X console, and the difference in time that it takes them to both start up is quite astounding. The Series X comes in at around about the 20-second mark, whereas the One X takes over a minute. Now that is in no small part due to the new SSD that is present in both of the next gen consoles, but of course also thanks to the new AMD CPU, GPU system on a chip that is powering this console. Now that is an octo-core processor and a 12 teraflop GPU combined with 16 gigs of GDDR6 memory in the Series X, and that custom NVMe SSD is 1 terabyte in the Series X, 512 gigs in the Series S, and with the Series X you also get 4K Blu-ray player and HDMI 2.1 support that supports up to 8K resolution, but or it will also do 4K resolution at 120 frames per second. I have generally run it at 4K 60 frames per second on my big TV or through my 1440p gaming monitor at 120 Hz, and it copes with both resolutions just fine. Now, give me just one moment here whilst I sign into my account, because you know it's important to have good security and use passcodes and things like that, because I have small children, otherwise they would just play this thing all bloody day. Once you're signed in, it all looks very familiar because it's an evolutionary iteration of the series that is the Xbox line. Now, this console is fast and quiet. It is by far the quietest console that I have ever heard. I can play this pretty late into the night without it disturbing anybody, because it never gets louder than like the tiniest little hum that you just can't hear if you're more than 2 feet away from it. It is remarkable the effective cooling that they have gotten into this console. The air is drawn up from the bottom and pushed out through a single fan up out the top, so just make sure you don't have it covered when you put it down in a room somewhere, you know, and you wouldn't want to cover it anyway because it's all brand new and shiny and incredible. The gaming lineup for this will look very familiar because this console has incredible support for backwards compatibility, and so it runs pretty much most Xbox One games, and if you've got the Games Pass subscription as well, then you can get some Xbox 360 games running in there, and you can get some original Xbox titles as well, which is nothing short of remarkable when you consider that this is, you know, that next evolutionary leap. Games themselves load up real quick indeed, because you have got that custom SSD running with Microsoft's Velocity architecture, which is effectively software that removes or minimizes the CPU bottleneck from the long-term SSD storage to the volatile memory of the GPU, that's 16 gigs of GDDR6. And the faster the information can be transferred between your long-term memory and your volatile memory means that your games load up quicker, your levels load up quicker, and you are in the action faster than you ever have been before. Of course, SSDs themselves are not new tech. They have been around for a while. They have been used in gaming PCs in one form or another. But as this console embraces NVMe technology with that extra Velocity architecture piece over the top of it, and that's all underpinned by that AMD GPU CPU, which supports a lot of these Microsoft features. In fact, AMD just did a big launch about their Ryzen and their latest Big Navi RDNA 2 GPUs, and all of the capability and functionality that Microsoft has developed for this console are supported by AMD. So it's really, really well optimized, and honestly, it's really good. It really is. It's like having a cool small form factor gaming PC that can play games at 4K 60 without dropping a beat, and it does it quietly and happily, and it looks good. I'm really impressed. It's available on November the 10th worldwide, and in New Zealand you will pay $799 for the Series X and $549 for the Series S. The Series S has the same the same type of SSD and Velocity architecture, the same high definition audio. They share a lot of commonality. It is another AMD CPU GPU combo. However, whilst this one has 12 teraflops of GPU processing and is designed to run games at 4K 60, the Series S has 4 teraflops of GPU power and is designed to run games at 1440 60 frames per second. What else do I like about it? I like the controller. The controller is a little bit smaller. That might not sound like a big deal, but for someone like me who's not like 6'5" and doesn't have like giant hands, then actually a slightly smaller control pad makes it slightly more comfortable, slightly more usable. It's a little change that adds up to quite a lot. There is a bespoke sharing button on the controller, which is probably the most noticeable difference versus the old Xbox One control pads. That's handy. You tap it, it shares a screenshot. You hold it, it will record up to 30 seconds to a minute's worth of video recording onto the Xbox, which can be uploaded to your OneDrive or to your Xbox Live account and shared with your friends. It's really simple, and of course that's all set up and accessed through the console menus itself. It has USB-C, it supports Bluetooth, so you can connect it to Android and iPhone and do all that sort of stuff. If you have an Xbox Games Pass Ultimate subscription, you can connect this to an Android device and you can stream Xbox games across the internet from the cloud without actually having a console. It is a remarkable service, and whilst it's not in New Zealand yet, Microsoft are going to be putting a data center into the country, which means that they will probably make that available to us at some point. Otherwise we would see it out of Australia, and that works too. Now, my biggest gripe about the console is a lack of, first-party titles. Now, it's not that big a gripe, if I'm honest. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing both my old Xbox One games that I really, really liked, like Gears of War 5, Anthem, Destiny 2, games that are already out and in the cycle. Gears 5 has been optimized for this. It runs at 4K, 60 frames per second, and it looks corkingly good. They've done a great job in optimizing that, and of course they would, because it is a first-party title. There are a lineup of new games that are going to be heading to the Microsoft console. Of course, you're going to have a new Halo game, you'll have a new Fable game, There's going to be some other stuff out there. But more than a killer lineup of first-party titles, this console it has huge backwards compatibility. You can play some of the best games of the previous generation through that Games Pass Ultimate subscription. If you pop in a disc to the front of this from the Xbox One or the Xbox 360, there's a really good chance that it will actually just play the game or download a patch and then play the game. And of course you get the benefit of it automatically applying things like high dynamic range to the video and displaying the output at 4K on your TV or your gaming screen of choice. It's brilliant. I think it's really the best $800 gaming machine you can currently acquire as of November the 10th. Yeah, I'm deeply impressed. I really am. You know, should you get one? Sure. Yeah, I mean, like, if you've got the money and you wanted to get a console upgrade, I suspect you've probably already pre-ordered one of these because of course they're sold out everywhere. So if you have the opportunity to get one of these and you're looking for something that can give you, better graphics, higher frame rates, better resolutions, it runs quieter, it runs faster, and it will still run all of the great games that you enjoy playing whilst you're waiting for the new first-party titles. This is absolutely one of the best and most compelling price performance offerings available today. And that does come in part through that Games Pass subscription, because it's great value. It's 130 games for $10 a month. So yeah, I am a big fan. I am a big fan. And of course, I will be putting many hours into this. My son absolutely loves Rayman Legends, a game from yesteryear and available through, available through backwards compatibility. So yeah, this game, this console is incredible, but everything else that it does absolutely leaves the last Xbox in the dust. Now it'll be really interesting to see how this goes against the Sony PlayStation 5, but I think that Microsoft has indicated that they're not going to try and compete on the first-party titles. They're just going to try and make it as easy for people to play great games in as many different ways as possible through their Games Pass subscription, particularly Games Pass Ultimate. And if you are going to buy an Xbox console, then they are going to make sure it is a damn fine experience. So yeah. Hey, look, thanks very much for checking out this review. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Are you looking forward to this console? Are you looking forward to the PlayStation? We will also have coverage of that when it becomes available. Now, hang around on the channel, check out some of our other videos. We do video game reviews, we do food, we do cars, we do a number of different things. If this is your last video with us here on The Empire though, I have been your resident tech and gaming guy, Dave, and I will see you